So welcome to our special edition of our Wednesday Icon Talk. You're going to hear the wonderful Dr. Naim Akbar.
That's right.
Yeah, so can you tell them about our special edition, summer?
Oh my goodness. We have a summer edition special that you're just going to love. We're taking all your favorites, all those life changers, all those movers and shakers, and we're putting them together every single week for the summer so that you don't miss anything at all. It's going to be fantastic. So you're going to hear them at our last August graduation at Royal African Royalty Empower You Conference coming straight at you. It's going to be amazing. And this next gentleman, you don't even need an introduction. Dr. Naim Akbar was my teacher and Dr. Willis's teacher 30 years ago, and he has changed the entire world. He's a top Black clinical psychologist and also the top just clinical psychologist overall. So it's going to be amazing. And of course, afterwards, our 20 fabulous top volunteers for GODSU will be featured. You'll hear some of the top ones here speaking. So I'm just so excited. Can we just get started?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Naim Akbar, also known as Luther B. Weems, was born the son of Bessie G. Weems and Luther B. Weems on the 26th of April, 1944 in Tallahassee, Florida. It was at the University of Michigan where Dr. Akbar first discovered his passion to bring Afrocentrism and psychology together. Being a Black man dealing with the harsh realities of stereotypes, racism, prejudice, and discrimination, Dr. Akbar found more than enough reason to educate himself with the history, philosophy, thought, and science of Black life. We already talked about some of the amazing books that he has created in terms of being able to get rid of those psychological chains that we have of being enslaved. And that's one of the courses that we have here within GODSU as well. And I'm going to pull out the book at this time, Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery by Dr. Naim Akbar, who's also the GODSU Professor Emeritus as well. So as a panelist, Her Excellency Ambassador Erikana Chihombore Kwa is a medical doctor and activist. She's a public speaker, educator, diplomat, founder of medical clinics, and an entrepreneur. She moved to the United States after living many years in Zimbabwe. She's the CEO and founder of Bell Family Medical Centers in the United States. She was the African Union representative between 2017 and 2019. She holds a bachelor's degree in general chemistry, a master's degree in organic chemistry, and a doctor of medicine degree. Chihombore was a family doctor, a family medicine specialist in Tennessee, and she's practiced medicine for over 29 years in Tennessee. And she's also a GODSU honorary doctoral recipient as well. And we're so elated to have her join our GODSU family. Next, over to our Chancellor, Dr. Diane Moore-Eubanks for masterclass number 3.
Excellent. Hi, everybody. I am Her Excellency Reverend Dr. Diane Moore-Eubanks. And this class was very, very much inspired by one of my mentors, Dr. Naim Akbar, and also by Maya Angelou, where she talks about, I know why the cage bird sings. And so we came up with this title of, I know why the cage bird must be free, okay? We've been singing and entertaining folks for years. So we know why the cage birds must be free after 400 years. And we want to talk about do an historical analysis on the key issues facing Africans and Africans in the diaspora in 2020. So with that said, I wanted to ask Dr. Naim Akbar, who is the premier clinical psychologist for Africans that I know of, I've heard of in the last 40 years. So Dr. Akbar, can you give us a 5-minute summary of why do you think 400 years later that the caged bird needs to be free?
Okay, thank you again, Reverend Dr. Your Excellency, for that very, very moving introduction. I guess I'm always I'm kind of surprised to have the ball thrown to me, but I didn't know the pass was coming. So we'll see what we can do in terms of reflecting on this. I've been thinking about this title, but since you mentioned it to me as this particular masterclass, and I've always kind of understood the analogy of the birds singing and the caged birds singing from two perspectives. On the one hand, I think of it in terms of the illustration from the Book of Psalms, in terms of the whole question of how can you sing the songs of Zion in a strange land, and wondering if it's even possible for singing to go on if there are oppressed people who are not in their own turf and in their own reality and in their own identity. And so I'm wondering if we are in fact fabricating a song, because it's hard to sing the songs of Zion in a strange land, and oppression and slavery is a song. The other way I understood the allegory is the idea that the caged bird, out of its desperation, keeps singing the freedom song. That one of the things that characterizes the state of being, and not only the state, but the consciousness, the understanding that you're in captivity, is to at least continue to sing a freedom song. And I think that the freedom songs of our history, since the time of our captivity, from the time of the slave ships up until now, has been an ongoing process. And I don't know about singing for the purpose of entertainment, but I think singing out of desperation, almost a mourning of our condition. But anyway, that's enough of the allegory. My general sense is, though, is that a part of our condition as African people, and this is like African people throughout the diaspora, those on the continent who are suffering from the residues of colonization for 400 or 500 years of having been colonized. And even though those, our African people, our brothers and sisters, remained on the continent, they didn't own themselves. So they began to take in an alien culture that actually contradicted who they really were. One of the painful things for me even today is to travel in Ghana and travel in Nigeria and travel in other parts of Africa, and to see the billboards of skin bleaches and people trying to change their complexion so they can look more like European, look more like Caucasian, and how they in fact worship with accolades, images of God and divinity that don't look like themselves, and how in fact they have this craving and deep desire for things that are non-African, and a greater desire for things that represented their colonizers than they do themselves, which is the same major problem that those of us who were colonized or enslaved in the European world, in America and so forth, is that somehow we began to internalize an alien picture of ourselves. When we look at our condition today, in 2020, when we look at people such as Clarence Thomas, Ben Carson, and all of these other people who boldly and defiantly define themselves as enemy to ourselves, who will systematically operate against our self-interest, who will do things that they will boldly cast their vote against things that would enhance our opportunities to be more effective as people. That somehow their self-hatred goes so deeply that they have internalized the white supremacy that created the problems that we have. And they become extreme examples of many of the things that we suffer from collectively, that I have spoken about in my writings as being the chains of psychological slavery. That even though we were technically and questionably, by the way, freed from the plantation 200 years ago by the so-called emancipation and the 13th Amendment, which we now understand is very suspect because it was never a complete liberation, because you can't be freed or emancipated if you still aren't counted as a full person and you're unable to vote for another 2 or 3 years after that. But the reality of it is that that 200-year period of being enslaved, we weren't slaves, we were human beings, we were Africans, we were people who had our own identity, our own history, our own dignity, our own reality, that we were enslaved. That is, mean we were robbed of our ability to define who we were and to know who we are. What does that have to do with now? That means that many of the things that we do, the very high homicide rate against each other, the many self-destructive things we do, the amount of drug abuse to be used against ourselves, our willingness, in fact, our enthusiasm to spend our resources with people other than ourselves. We will pay twice the price if it comes from somebody other than someone who looks like us. How we are desperately always trying to get into somebody else's institutions rather than build our own. These are not sane behaviors. No people who are intelligent, who are sane, who are civilized, who are self-serving, interested in themselves, prefer someone else, particularly someone who doesn't care about them, to themselves. That they have a preference for their enemy more than they prefer themselves. These are the chains of slavery. These are the things that make us work against ourselves. But it is a direct consequence of what went on over that 200-year period and has been followed by 200 years post-slavery, where we were taught to somehow not respect, love, admire, and know ourselves, but instead to respect everybody and anybody other than ourselves. So I guess that, just to be brief and summarize this, I believe that there were structural things that we inherited and continued, not inherited, that we passed on from the conditions of slavery. Structural things like the family disorganization that took place during enslavement continues to cause us problems. The fact that we still do not value the relationships of building our own families the way that we did in our continental settings, when we were in fact our own people. We don't value our families, our wives, our husbands, our children. We don't see that as something to be maintained as sacred as we did in our traditional societies. The structural things such as our ability to somehow recognize the value of working for ourselves. We don't understand the dignity of work when it in fact produces resources to advance you. The work as a torture or something that you do for somebody else. So we will work like a slave for somebody who used to be or historically was a slave master, but we won't put forth that same amount of effort, that same amount of tenacity, that same amount of perseverance. We won't put forth that same amount of work if we are trying to advance someone who looks like ourselves. These are structural things. These are things that social arrangements that we have brought over from slavery. Then there are also the personal things that I talked about. The fact that we still don't believe that Black is beautiful. I mean, that sounds almost comical in 2020, remembering in the 60s how we went through this whole phase of I'm Black and I'm proud. But we still have problems with that. We still spend an incredible amount of money not to look African. We spend an incredible amount of money to lighten our skins. We buy more people's straight hair than that is grown on the planet. Most people, there are economies in Southeast Asia that are somehow built around the hair that Black people buy to make their hair look longer, straighter, and less African and more Black. Not because it is just aesthetically more appealing, but because there's a deeply ingrained self-hatred that if it looks like you, it can't look good. That's a problem. That's a real problem. We don't respect Black scholarship. We don't expect Black doctors who speak to our reality. And many of our Black doctors don't concern themselves with unique issues, whether it's an HBCU, whether it's a Black neighborhood, even the only place that we give some degree of respect, there are a couple of places, that we give some degree of respect to our Black churches, mostly. And in recent years, we started straying away from those and preferring to be in churches that are not predominantly of our own communities. And the other is the Black funeral homes. We have historically chosen to go, and we are not too excited about having a non-Black person handle our remains. Now that's a psychological issue I really don't understand. I don't have an answer for it, but it represents some of the kind of structural self-rejection that I have in mind. And the third piece, and this is a piece that I think that GODSU works on very, very beautifully, is to understand that we have inherited some economic issues that are transgenerational, that makes it very difficult for us to rebuild wealth that is coming out of slavery. Wealth is not a one person, one generational thing. Wealth is a transgenerational thing. You can't just spend all your money on a bright and shiny Cadillac or a Mercedes or whatever in your lifetime and consider that wealth. That's nothing but rich and crazy. If you really want to have wealth, you've got to have something to leave for the unborn grandchildren who will not have to build to where you got, that they can have something to build on. One would not believe that we had not had a green room session and all got together. We got to plan this presentation, even though neither of us had heard each other before this panel began. But it certainly sounds extremely coordinated and speaks to the same truth. I think that my opening comments tried to lay out in fairly graphic terms what the problem is. Like what are the manifestations of the psychological, social, economic issues that we face? And I think that describing the problem is necessary. Dr. Arakana said clearly that if you don't recognize you're sick, you can't get well. You won't even go to the doctor. And so I think that a part of the work that I've done as a psychologist is to try to help us identify the fact that we sick, and that sickness and describing that sickness is critical. But the exciting part that was followed by the subsequent speakers, Dr. Jabari, Dr. Arakana, as well as Dr. Moore, is the reality that we have solutions and we need to begin to move towards solutions. And the solutions have to do with beginning to break out of those chains that inhibit solving our problems and begin to do the collective things there. And I think that whereas we have in previous generations talked about Pan-Africanism as an ideology, as a way of thinking, I think that what we are hearing now from the ambassador is the reality is that it is now time to make Pan-Africanism a reality. We need to stand together as one Africa. She says so beautifully, repeatedly, that we are the children of one mother, Africa. We're from the same mother, and we must act as her children in a collective way. And I think in very practical ways, begin to reclaim the land is a part of the process of reclaiming our minds. So if we don't reclaim and hold on to the blessings that the Creator has given us with the land that has not been taken, even though they have tried to, if they could have transported it, it would be gone. What they're trying to do is to transport the wealth from it. That has not been able to succeed. They've not been able to succeed in doing that because it was so bountiful. Africa is the Garden of Eden. It is, in fact, all of the things that humanity needs are there in Africa. We need to begin to develop the kind of mindset, the kind of economic programs, the kind of social organizations, the kind of commitments to beginning to pull those resources together. And as she said repeatedly, we as the Africans in the diaspora who have gotten the skills by being on this plantation, this very successful plantation called North America. We were the slaves, we were the prize slaves on this plantation. So we peeked a lot of secrets. Not only did we learn to do a lot of things, we taught them how to use a lot of things they didn't know how to do. But we've only used those skills to advance their objectives. We now need to use those skills to advance our objectives. And the only thing that's standing in our way is our minds, our sickness, this mind that doesn't let us belong to ourselves. We must reclaim ownership of ourselves as African people, and then we can reclaim Africa as the home of humanity altogether.
Amazing, amazing, and how so true. And Dr. Akbar, the quote that I wanted to say from Malcolm X after listening to you and the other speakers is, just because a cat has kittens in the oven, that doesn't make them biscuits. Doesn't make them biscuits. So for those who are so quick to say, oh, I'm not African, I'm Black American, I'm not, this is the mental illness that Dr. Akbar talks about and he introduced 38 years ago. That's changed my life because I understood that when other people didn't see it, it wasn't my problem. I was wondering if, am I crazy? Am I strange? And my husband said, you know what, my boyfriend at the time, come to this class and listen to this man. He will let you know that you're okay. They're sick. You're okay.
That's right. That's right.
The Dr. Akbar, that was the summer that I actually went for a job. And when I went to the agency for the job, they looked dead in my face and told them, we don't want any more Black people. So you can't be hired, because they told me this. It was a staffing company. They told me that. And he said, don't worry, baby, come on. Let me take you to a class. It'll let you know that they're the sick ones and that you're okay. And so I thanked him for that. And I married him. See, so that was a good reward. What do you think?
That was a good reward for both of you.
Both of us. So remember that, guys. Whenever people try to deny that they're African, just give them this Malcolm X quote. Just because a cat has kittens in the oven, that doesn't make the kittens biscuits.
Spokesperson for GODSU, Ambassador, His Excellency Dr. Dakar Ajibewa Chaplain, Ambassador of Ghana to the USA. Can you please give us a brief introduction and how we can get in contact with you and the embassy?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. The embassy is in Washington, D.C. on International Drive, and we are very accessible. If it's a matter of landmark, we are between Bangladesh and the Israeli embassy. So we are very easy to find. I'm taking the opportunity to welcome all of you to Ghana. If you haven't visited yet, I think you should, because we more or less sit in the center of the earth. And therefore, when the good Lord was doing the business, he was standing on Ghanaian soil. You remember last year was the year of return, where we were trying to honor all those people who left our shores involuntarily, came into this country, had to deal with a language they never heard of, and yet they mastered it enough to write books and sonnets and whatnot. They didn't have much of an education, and the education they tried to provide for themselves was nothing to write home about. But then, again, they became scientists and inventors and whatnot. And in fact, most of them have contributed to the culture of America as it is today. And therefore, we're only asking that they can visit the homes that their ancestors left, see what is available, take a decision whether they would want to get involved. But we would want them to get involved, because for us, we've always considered African Americans as brothers and sisters. So for Ghana, we consider it your home. And home is where you go and they have to take you in. So our doors are open. You might probably recall that in the course of last year, about over 200, the African Americans were given Ghanaian citizenship in an open ceremony and such. We do believe that we have a little gem of a country, and we are encouraging everybody to come and put a certain kind of economic stake in it. Those people who came there earlier and made it, we didn't invite them. They just came and took what they wanted. This time, we are inviting you, and we are inviting you as kinsmen. So if the others who were not related and all that came in and made good, there is absolutely no reason why you cannot come and also make good. We need a certain kind of partnership. Whichever way we look at it, wherever we are, people see us first through our pigmentation. And I'm quite sure that that in itself is something, to stand by. And I can guarantee you that those of you who are African Americans, those of us who are Africans from wherever, we haven't significantly had an objection to being called Black. Now that in itself is a binding wire. We should exploit it. Come to Ghana. I'm quite sure you will love it. And I'm quite sure that it will be good for our relationship across the pond, and also for a fair investment, for a fair return. It will be economically a wonderful exchange between African Americans and Ghanaians. Come to Ghana, you'll love it. Am I okay?
You're wonderful. It's great to see you, Ambassador.
It's good to see you. These days, this thing hanging on the necks of all of us makes it very difficult even to make a move.
I know. I miss you so much. So what we're going to do, because normally we do our residency part of our graduation with you at the Ghanaian Embassy, we're going to do it virtually. So we're excited to see you again through the phone August 14th, but know that we love you and know that we miss you, and that we will be in touch telephonically as well as video. So thank you so much for your time, Ambassador, and thank you for being a volunteer. You've been a study volunteer for GODSU for years. You've traveled with us all over the country, from all over the world, and so we appreciate you, and we love you, we honor you. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, it has been my privilege and my pleasure. Thank you very much for making that possible.
Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Okay. You take care.
We will.
And we have helping with entrepreneurial encouragement, Dean His Excellency Dr. Michael B. Roberts, Chaplain, CEO, Roberts Riverwalk Hotel, and author of Action Has No Season 2.0. Can you please give us a brief introduction and how we can get in contact with you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Dr. Diane and Dakar, let me just say this. You guys continue to impress the world. There are folks now from coast to coast and outside of our coast here in the United States who are supporting you and listening to you and your training and your teaching. And I can't tell you how proud I am of you and to have been there when you started and to follow that career. And you've allowed for so many people to be honored with their chaplaincy and their doctorates, and it just makes a human feel more important and more valuable to the community and to themselves when we're able to honor them the way you've honored them. And I just think you should continue to do this forever. I'm sure you will. I have no doubt. You also have your legacy with your three behind you, your three beautiful children, all of whom are, the brightest and sharpest kids anyone will ever find anywhere. And that's because of the way you and your husband have poured in the leadership and the commitment back to our community. And this is what we need more parents to do. So unlike, the whole more modern term of mentoring, where it's sort of a person and a person, what I did was I wrote a book, Action Has No Season, and Action Has No Season 2.0, 2 different books. And I provide the data in there, which is the mentoring data.
Yes.
So therefore, I'm able to mentor literally everyone who reads the book, thousands of people. And it's written in a fashion. I mean, you and I are lawyers, we can write big fancy words and people have to grab the dictionary just to look it up. I recognize the importance of writing it, when I was in politics and was an alderman and run for office, whenever we wrote our brochures, you write your brochures about who you are so a fifth grader will understand it.
Right.
You follow me? It can be deep stuff, but it has to be easily to read and understand, so that anyone can understand it. And I think that any mentor who's worth their salt has to be able to, whether it's in writing, as I've done it, or face-to-face, they have to be able to come to the level of the person they're talking to and speak to them on that level, but with the more profound result and types of data that you're trying to deploy to that individual. So that's how I kind of define and perceive the concept of mentoring. Well, every day when you wake up, you're given 86,400 seconds. That's the number of seconds in the day. And the moment you think of the moment, it's already gone. So therefore, if you're going to do anything or take action, you need to do it immediately. You don't wait for a certain time in the future in a season to take action. There is no season for action. Action is in the now. It's the existential approach. It's more importantly, it's the actionnaire approach. And as you well know, I coined the word the actionnaire, and that's one who takes their ideas, their dreams, their vision, their passion, and they pursue them with courage and confidence and bravado. But you're pursuing them then, not waiting for something to come your way, hopefully, but more importantly, you make the way. In business, I see people sometimes thinking and lamenting and worrying about how their business is going to do against competition. And I tell them, don't you sit there and cry over what will happen potentially with this competition. You make the competition cry about the fact that you are there.
That's right. I love it. I love it.
Yes. But if your question is what should be implemented the most in today's world within our academic setting, I think we have to do that which we can to help people realize that as we move to the next decade and beyond, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics will be taking over, and it's going to create a change. Now, it's pretty fundamental. Change is coming, right?
Yes.
In different ways. The question is, will you allow change to control you, or will you control the change? So I say to students and to anyone moving along in an academic world or outside of that, prepare yourself for the change that's coming. Anybody who has a job today that is repetitive in nature, by 2030, 2035, they will not have a job. 50% of the people who have jobs today will not have them because of automation and robotics. We're going to see big changes there. So the question becomes, how do we embrace that and become the entrepreneur that builds on this future dynamic?
Yeah.
And I will tell you that this COVID-19 shift, one that is making us potentially already forced into this futuristic system. Why? How can I say and defend that? Why? Because of what we're doing right now.
Yes.
I mean, normally this would be a face-to-face interview, and it would be an interview that the class of GODSU would have in a room with each other.
Yes.
But how are we doing it? So we're going to have much more of this type of activity. And this is a big paradigm shift. This is shifting as we have been accustomed to the future. And the younger people who are seeing this for the first time, this will be normal for them.
It's
you see?
true.
And so the question becomes, how are we going to even enhance this experience?
It is. And it's funny because over a decade ago when I sat with you in Atlanta, and I gave you what I thought my vision was, and you put my vision up to another level. And I was thinking of a traditional brick and mortar, and you said online is fine. And the fact that we listened to you, now a lot of the other older, larger institutions now are trying to catch up to us because we've been doing this for a decade after we talked to you. So some of the innovative things that you've come up with is way ahead of other people, and it has prepared us for where we are today. I want to ask, and when I met you, all of my family, my children, my husband, everybody sat down and read Action Has No Season, and now we have Action Has No Season 2.0. What's in Action Has No Season 2.0 that's not in the first book that will get other people ready so they can be a decade ahead the way you have advised us to be?
Well, Action Has No Season 2.0 is a workbook. It will have chapters on how to develop your mindset in business, how to deal with predicaments as a chapter. And after each chapter, I have questions, and I leave lines for you to actually write. So you can actually take a test. More importantly, it's putting a mirror in front of you to look at yourself. So if I read it, if you read the chapter and you understand it, then I may ask you questions in the book that relate to you, and you then answer in writing right there if you wish. I just hope that next time I'm there for a conference, that Dakar will continue to play on my basketball team and not play against me.
Oh, yes, that's true. Because for those who don't know, whenever we get together for our seminars, for our graduations, Dean, His Excellency, is always the captain of the mentors basketball game. And then the younger guys who are like 30s and under are supposed to be the mentee. But because of who he is, he gets to choose his team. And Dakar is always on his team. And between the two of them, they have monopolized, and they always win the game. So Dean Kappa here, His Excellency, always wins the game.
I would prefer that if you're going to buy my book, to try to find a black bookstore, and then they would get it online. If you can't do that, then go to Amazon.com and type in Michael B. Roberts. Action Has No Season 2.0. And you'll be able to pull it up right there and buy it right off of the Amazon network. So that's pretty much the only way to do it in today's world. That's the best way to do it, the fastest way. And it's on Kindle too, so you can download it if you wish.
And everybody in here has their own copy, the first one and the second one. And as I said, we're doing a class that will be Action Has No Season 2.0, and they will have to get that as the workbook, and the class will be on Tuesdays or Thursdays. We haven't decided. Right now we have 4 classes going on Thursday evenings, so it might be on a Tuesday evening. We will let you know.
Well, let me add one thing, and I need to thank you also for letting my daughter speak at one of our last graduations. She was very happy to have done that, Megan, and she's written several other documents and position papers. She continues. The original title was going to be Action Has No Season, Roman numeral 2. It was you who said, no, you have to call it 2.0. So I have to give you credit for helping me in the naming of that title. It was you who did that. And I listen carefully to you because you too are a mentor and have been helpful in framing it, the thinking and the thought process of me, as well as many others. Well.
Oh, but it's my pleasure, it's my honor, and you know how much I truly love you, Dr. Michael. So thank you so, so much for being here, being our mentor, and whatever we can do to ensure that others follow in your footsteps, that's what we're going to do.
Can you please give us how we can get in contact with you?
Hello, everyone. It is my email address is rramvrsr@aol.com. That's an old school AOL. I'll repeat it, rramvrsr@aol.com. And that's the best way to reach out to me as well. So it is a pleasure to see our other guests who are online here. And we just had a wonderful dialogue. So I'm very happy to hear from everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Her Excellency Ambassador Erikana Chiombore Kwa is a medical doctor and activist. She's a public speaker, educator, diplomat, founder of medical clinics, and an entrepreneur. She moved to the United States after living many years in Zimbabwe. She's the CEO and founder of Bell Family Medical Centers in the United States. She was the African Union representative between 2017 and 2019. She holds a bachelor's degree in general chemistry, a master's degree in organic chemistry, and a doctor of medicine degree. Chiombore was a family doctor, a family medicine specialist in Tennessee, and she's practiced medicine for over 29 years in Tennessee. And she's also a GODSU honorary doctoral recipient as well, and we're so elated to have her join our GODSU family.
Thank you so much, Chancellor, my sister Diane. I appreciate everything that you're doing. I appreciate the work that you're doing to wake us up. I think as a race, we are going through a very interesting time in history. The 400 years since the children of Africa were taken out of the continent, it's really unbelievable to think that we have been through as much as we have been through, and yet we still have a lot of work to do for us to truly wake up. I find it interesting when you ask them, where are you from? And quite often they will say, almost 100% of the time, I'm originally from Nigeria. Well, if you're originally from Nigeria, where are you from now? It's like I used to be from Nigeria, but not anymore. And they don't realize that's what they're saying. But somehow, we're too busy running away from our primary anchor. Why are we running away from our primary anchor? We were meant to believe that anything to do with Africa was bad and undesirable. We were meant to believe that everything to do with the Black race was bad and undesirable. We were meant to believe that anything that represents who we are is unacceptable, that we should always aspire to be something that we can never be. Allow me to take you to my village of Zimbabwe. Growing up in my country of Zimbabwe, prior to the British coming to Zimbabwe in 1896, we did not have the color black or the color white. We did not know about Jesus Christ. We had our own higher power. We understood there was a higher power. We had our own name of God and intermediaries who we knew. We could not speak and communicate directly with God. We went through our intermediaries. But the British came and told us that everything we believed in was unacceptable, but they introduced their own religion. They told us about Jesus Christ, and they told us about the angels. They told us that the angels were white, and that there was something called the devil, and that the devil was black. They told us about the color black, told us how the color black looks like, and told us how the color white looked like. Then they proceeded to tell us what the angels symbolized and what the devil symbolized. The angels were perfect, everything desirable, but here is the kicker. Even though they don't look white like the white piece of paper they told us it looked like, they said, oh, by the way, we are white. We represent the angels. And oh, by the way, there's something called the devil. Unacceptable, does all the horrible things. You want nothing to do with the devil, and that devil is black. And by the way, you too are black. Now let's all go to church. Let's all pray. And as we worship, we all want to be like the angels. And the angels who just happen to be white. Let's all pray to a Jesus who, even though in the Bible it is clear that Jesus Christ was not white, his color, skin color is described as crimson in some scriptures. We all know very well when Mary and Joseph were trying to run away from King Herod, they were advised to go to Egypt, not Europe. Why Egypt? Because they knew in Egypt he was going to blend with others who looked like him. If he was a white person, they would have advised them to go to Europe. But there he would stand out like a sore tooth. The issue of white angels and black devils was done intentionally. For those were the instructions the missionaries were given when they came to Africa, to criminalize blackness, to make us believe everything black was undesirable, to make us hate ourselves and aspire to be something we can never be, white. The black woman gave birth to the first human being. Why is it then that those who gave birth to humanity are treated as the scum of the earth? Why is it that we are being told that we are inferior, and yet we know the truth? Why is it that we have accepted these lies? I often say a black man who has had a shop in a black neighborhood for years, the minute a Chinaman shows up with his own shop, we will walk right past the black man's shop to patronize the Chinaman. And pretty soon, we are putting the black man out of business. The reality on the ground in your Africa, in our Africa is, and please pay attention to this. Today, as we speak, there isn't a single African country that has the capacity to build a railway line. There isn't a single African country that has the capacity to build an airport. That capacity is in the diaspora. One of the best airports in the world, the most well-run airport in the world, was built by the majority black companies, and majority continues to be run by majority black companies. And I'm talking about the Atlanta airport, the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. And yet, airports are being built every day in Africa by the Chinese, while Africa's children, who are very capable, are sitting in the diaspora. The reason the children of Africa are not building those airports is because the African leaders do not know how to reach them. It's because we are disorganized. We are not united. There's no one place you can pick up a phone call and reach the African diaspora and let the African diaspora know about what is going on in our Africa, because what is going on in our Africa is your inheritance and you deserve to have access to it. Here is the reality on the ground, my brothers and sisters. Come next year, the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area is going to begin. The Chinese, who are already in Africa, are getting ready to quadruple their presence. They're getting ready and mobilizing all their financial resources. The Europeans who have been in Africa for centuries are getting ready to quadruple their presence. Because why? They know that the capacity that is needed to build a sustainable Africa is in the diaspora. It is not on the continent. But they also know that the diaspora, the true inheritors, are fast asleep. So come next year, just picture what's getting ready to come from the West. and what is getting ready to come from the East. There is a void in Africa. And that void is what was created by the brain drain that took place over the past 400 years. The brain drain out of Africa. When the slavers took the children of Africa as slaves, they took the best and the fittest that Africa had. And then we have the latest migrants who left Africa in search of greener pastures, some running away from famine and war. The end result is the void that was created by the brain drain. It is precisely the void that is being filled by the Chinese and by the Europeans. The question I have for you, my brothers and sisters, Africa remains the richest continent on earth. In spite of many centuries of exploitation, the colonizers have only taken maybe 10% of Africa's natural resources. There's still plenty of natural resources that belong to you and I. Every day we are discovering more and more natural resources in our beloved Africa. Here is the reality on the ground. Come next year, the question I have for you, children of Africa, there is a seat that has your name. If you do not occupy that seat, others will occupy that seat for you. For you to stop asking the question, why is it that the Chinese are getting the contracts to build Africa? Well, they're getting the contracts because you are missing in action, because you are not available to take over that contract. The reality is the Cape to Cairo highway is going to be built. The Senegal to Djibouti high-speed rail is going to be built, and highways everywhere in between. New cities are going to be built, ports are going to be built. The question is, by who? That is your inheritance. The continent, which is producing 50% of the world gold, the continent which produces the largest amounts of platinum in the world, the continent which is the second largest producer of diamonds, the continent with over 65% of the arable land in the world, the continent which is the largest producer of coltan, I can go on and on and on, is your continent. They are ready to come take everything that's on the continent. The African heads of states are saying, Ambassador, let the children of Africa in the diaspora know that they must come home. They must come and take what belongs to them. You see, the white people are going to Africa poor and they come back rich. The African heads of states are saying, there's nothing wrong with the children of Africa coming home to Africa, investing in Africa, come home poor, and also live your Africa rich. Go back to the United States, go back to Europe and play golf just like they do while your money is working for you in Africa. The time is now, my brothers and sisters. We do not have time to waste. We do not have time to continue to self-hate. We do not have time to continue to distrust each other. I am here to let you know that Africa, if we do not come together this time, is going to be gone for good. The choice is yours. I have registered an entity called African Diaspora Development Institute. This is an entity that I'm hoping we can all come together as children of one mother Africa, that once and for all we can come together and look towards going home once the African Continental Free Trade Area implementation begins. But that this time we are not going to in as fragmented Africans, but rather we are going back home together as a united front, a united, beautiful, intelligent, sophisticated, highly adaptable, and totally indestructible front, family of one mother Africa. Please, I urge all of you to go to our ADDI, that's OUR, and sign up. We want to know who you are professionally. We want to know if you are an organization, if you are a company, what services do you offer? So come time to go home, We want to be able to find you. Let's go home, my brothers and sisters. And for the purposes of waking up, I've also written a book which is called Africa 101, The Wake Up Call. I understand if we are to succeed at coming together, we must understand our history. Africa 101, The Wake Up Call, is educating us about our history, what they have done to us during slavery, during colonization, after independence, the games they continue to play with us today, and the reasons why you and I must wake up and unite and realize, as children, one mother Africa, we must unite and work towards a common destiny. And that is going home to Africa and claim our inheritance. I thank you.
That is amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you so much, my sister. I really, truly appreciate you. We are in it together. We are a wounded people, and we are only going to survive when we come together. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Welcome, Her Excellence.
Helping with being a speaker, we have King Nana Obakesi Ampa Chaplain, who is founder and president of Obakese University of Excellence and the CEO for a Year of Return Legacy Project. We have the following helping with administrative work: Vice Chancellor, His Excellency Dr. Moore-Eubanks, Chaplain, CEO, Global Alliance Technical Services. Director, Her Excellency Cairo Denise Rose Eubanks, UNCSR, CLC, CEC Chaplain, who's the CEO, Cairo Speaks. And we have helping with public relations for GODSU, our Dean, Imam Dr. Talib Sharif Chaplain, who is the president and Imam of Nations Mosque, Masjid Muhammad. Dr. Richard D. Miles, Senior Chaplain, who is CEO, Chairman, and founder of the Minor Football League. Can you please give us a brief introduction and how we can get in contact with you?
For 1 minute introduction and how to contact him, and then 1 minute about how you felt about the Empower You conference and the graduation.
Okay. I was very excited. You know, it just goes to show you, you're not alone in all the things that you're doing, working hard to trying to make a difference in terms of people of color. So, you know, I'm excited about it, and having the opportunity and you actually meeting you. I think, you know, I don't think you know how special you are in your family. So I want to point that out. But the MFL is the Minor Football League, 32 franchises across the country, Black owned. And my goal is to see that people of color own these franchises. And then we talk about generational wealth, because as you know, people of color, we're the biggest consumers in America. We have nothing to show for it. So this is my path. And what I've been doing in bringing former players from the field to the front office. As you know, if you don't know, there's a lot of former NFL players here, and everybody doing a certain task to make us complete. You can also reach us. My website, on all the social media platform, but mflishere.com. And I'm excited about going to Africa. As you know, we're taking 16 franchises there. I met with a lot of ambassadors. I met with people of color, and you know, you'd be surprised that people, believe it or not, is shocked because they don't feel like we're not supposed to be able to do what we are doing. These things are not supposed to be possible, but I want people to know that the MFL is here. We're a laboratory of change, and if you look at our website or you experience us, you don't see nothing but all people of color. That's another thing amazing. Everybody always tell me, you know, I feel good because I see us. And the league is for us, by us. We here for the economic development of people of color. And I'm just excited about being a part of GODSU. And I thank God for you guys. And I look forward to the camaraderie of working with you.
That is so awesome. And it's wonderful to have you as our Assistant Dean of Students here at GODSU, and you've been doing an amazing job. Your leadership, your integrity, your work ethics is bar none. Even during a time of grieving, when you were having someone in your family transitioned, you were there, you did everything on time, you were a man of your word, and the MFL is blessed to have you, a man like you at the helm. So we are so pleased to have you, Assistant Dean Dr. Richard Miles. And it's just, you're just a wonderful person and just a great, great, great addition to the GODSU leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public relations as well. Chief Gladys Chaplin, who's the CEO of Good Shepherd's Health Services, Inc. And we have Pastor Emmanuel Equilor, who's the Chief Media Exclusive Director of Cinema Movie Empire Film Production. Dr. Alicia Eubanks Young, Chaplain, Director of Hope's House.
And what's amazing is yesterday we were able to take our junior ambassadors over to Hope's House and meet with the veterans that do their assisted living there. And our junior ambassadors, Her Excellency Cairo, and were able to take over 100 oranges and speak to the gentlemen. We were also able to give them last week a 58-inch television, the veterans, so they were able to hopefully watch the MFL when that shows on the various stations. So we're very pleased to have her as well. Thank you.
And speaking of, we also have our junior ambassador,
Yes.
Sudan Eubanks, who's the CEO of Sudan Dolls and Sudan E-Consultancy. And we have Reverend Dr. Agaram C.D.K., who is the president of Caribbean and African Faith-Based Leadership Conference, also known as CAFBLC. Prince Dr. Kesse Jabare, and he is CEO of Warrington Consultancy, LLC. And we have Reverend Dr. Lilithia Davis, Chaplain, who's the CEO and founder of Dior to Live in Overflow. Can you please give us a 1-minute introduction and how you can contact you?
Greetings, great day, everyone. It is an honor to have this opportunity. I had an awesome time, an empowerment and uplifting time during the graduation. I'm a recent graduate of the 2020 class of GODSU Seminary and University. And we had an awesome time, all power empowerment sessions and rich knowledge that will stay with me. I am Reverend Dr. Lilithia Barrard Davis, Chaplain. I am so honored to be a part of the GODSU family. Also the CEO and co-founder of Dior to Live in Overflow, a ministry and business that was birthed during my time of recovery in the hospital of a critical illness. And it is a ministry and business where it's a prayer intercessory ministry where I pray and consecrate myself over the prayers that others send to me, that they can be free to live in the overflow of God's blessings. Dior is the Hebrew word for free. And so we want to be free to live in the overflow of God's blessings and his promises. And so I also offer Christian products such as prayer shawls and unique oil bottles with blessed oil and a lot of other Christian gifts that are offered to our community, our viewers and those who would like to reach me. I can be reached at free47live47@hotmail.com, or you may even give me a call. I'll be so honored to hear from you at 346-224-0784. This is a great opportunity. GODSU is my family.
Thank
Thank
you so much. Appreciate you.
And we have Designate Dr. Deacon Patricia Page Chaplain, CEO Patricia's Inspirational Learning and Training Center, CEO Patricia's House of Fashion. And we have Imam Dr. Salahuddin Chaplain, who's the founder of Muhammad Marriage and Relationship Services.
Listen, I had such a wonderful time at the graduation. It was outstanding. I mean, wow. I was saying to myself, man, we need to do this again. So I'm looking forward to December, God willing. So I love GODSU, and I'm glad to be a part of GODSU as the Assistant Dean for the Islamic Chaplaincy Program. And in terms of my business, Muhammad's Marriage and Relationship Services, we offer this for people who are having problems with their marriages or who want to get married and they need some premarital counseling. I think everyone should have premarital counseling before they get married. And so many people have not done that, but that's what we do. And we try to keep marriages together because that's the backbone of society, the community, the world. Family, that's a husband and wife team. So that's what I'm about. And if you want to get to me, you can go to imamsalahuddin.com or 914-475-2605. Thank you so much. We love you. We are part of you. We are family. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you know, it's so funny because the theme keeps coming back that GODSU is family. You know, I attended 7 different universities and none of them felt like family. So when we put GODSU together, we want to make sure that God was first, family was second. And so you can feel the love, feel the family. And, you know, with Islamic studies, we actually want to do a degree in Islamic studies led by none other than our Assistant Dean here, Salahuddin Mohammed, as well as our chair for the department, which is Imam Dr. Talib Sharif. So I look forward to yourself and Imam Dr. Bashir Ali, Imam Dr. Abdul, all the other, those of the Islamic faith who are professors getting together, you know, including, I think, Imam Dr. Oliver, you also introduced him to us. So we just look forward to that department just growing under you all's leadership and just being productive. So thank you so much, Assistant Dean. Appreciate you. God bless.
Thank you. Arlene Robinson, chaplain, who is a funeral director and mortician.
Thank you for this honor, His Excellency Dakar and Her Excellency Diane Moore-Eubanks. I am Arlene F. Robinson, chaplain, recent graduate of Global Overday Seminary and University. I am a funeral director licensed in Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and the District of Columbia, with more than 15 years of experience in the field. I serve many people at a very fragile point in their lives when they need someone they can trust to provide proper, respectful care of their loved ones. I chose to be a part of GODSU's Interfaith Chaplaincy Program so I could receive information and training to enable me to relate to people of varied beliefs and faiths in a sensitive, caring, compassionate manner. When comforting families, I have no desire to offend them in ignorance of traditions and customs within their beliefs. With the vast base of knowledge GODSU provides, I am able to provide the very best of service. I am available for consultation as well as execution of pre-need and at-need service. My email address is arlenerobin57@yahoo.com, and my direct phone number is 202-415-2944. Again, thank you, His Excellency Dakar and Her Excellency Diane Moore-Eubanks, for this opportunity to speak.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's really great having you, great, wonderful alum on the line. I'm going to hand it over to my excellent co-host. Look at you.
Oh, thank you.
Look at you. Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. And this week I helped with administrative work, and I am yours truly, your MC and engineer, His Excellency Dakar, and I am the Director of Operations at GODSU and the CEO of Dakar Marketing Tools. And here at Dakar Marketing Tools, we're an international graphic and printing company providing you with all your marketing needs to help you and your company grow. And our popular products are GODSU African American Bibles, magazines, banners, flyers, branded golf shirts, branded jackets, digital business cards, as well as printed business cards. And we also turn your brick and mortar into an e-commerce platform. And with that being said, I want to turn it over to my wonderful co-host, the Right Honorable Her Excellency, Dr. Diane Moore-Eubanks, JD Chaplain.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You know, I love my GODSU family. So it's a treat for me to be with you all. And you all are so beautiful in spirit and in looks. I mean, look at these, look at them. Just gorgeous. Both of this was wonderful. So I just want to extend a heartfelt thank you and special appreciation to all of the alum, all of the leaders listed that he just said. More than 20 people helped, but you guys were the top. And they'll tell you at the MFL that coming in second, you didn't come in at all. So number one, you guys are the 20 number ones here at GODSU. And you volunteered so many hours, so much of your time and resources. And we're especially thankful to those who actually produced names, emails, phone numbers, for people to come to the school, as well as to listen to the various broadcasts. Like we have a broadcast right after this because of you guys. So we're grateful. Thank you for adding actual workers of God to our database and for people to register to our educational programs. We are changing lives. The work that you're doing, it's changing people's mindset. It's changing their thought processes. And that way we're changing a community. So that's what we do here at GODSU. So we may be a university, but underneath it, it's about spiritual growth, emotional growth, and integrity. And we still believe in what? One race, human, one space, earth, and one embrace, love. So with that said, don't leave us. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. All right? So we have some more messages for you after this. Don't leave us. And we love you guys. We love you guys. We love you guys.
Global Ovid Day Seminary and University GODSU is a 501c3 interfaith e-learning Global Florida Department of Education Commission of Independent Studies approved degree issuing religious institution of higher learning under Florida Statute 1005.061F in Miramar, Florida, a suburb of Fort Lauderdale suburbs. Our curricula include programs like our theology diploma, bachelor's, master's, and PhD programs, which are designed for students called to the ministries of teaching and preaching. Program enrollees include pastors, evangelists, missionaries, and laypersons. Our additional courses: entrepreneurial studies, premier self-development courses on wealth building. We also offer a mini course for youth, the Junior Ambassador Youth Public Speaking, to gain professional and personal skills. Chaplaincy Diploma, Love and Spiritual, Interfaith, and Christian programs. Chaplains are trained, certified leaders attached to either a religious and/or non-religious institution or organization. Cybersecurity IT courses. Our licensed instructor has a 95% pass rate compared to the 30% national average for CompTIA accredited courses, such as Security Plus and Network Plus. 40% of our alum who've gone through our prestigious GODSU honors programs have also previously matriculated through their earned doctorate programs. Our alum include physicians, ambassadors, statesmen and stateswomen, icons and billionaires, religious leaders, titans in business, global philanthropists such as Ambassador of Ghana to the United States, His Excellency Dr. Bafor A.J. Bewa, Ambassador of Nigeria to the United States, His Excellency Dr. Sylvanus Musafor, billionaire builder and dean, His Excellency Dr. Michael V. Roberts, former Maritime Minister, Government of Nigeria, Honorable Dr. Leke Olawale, President of Fraser Net Net and Fraser Nation and Power Networking Conference, Dean His Excellency Dr. George Fraser. Our world-class and esteemed professors include Attorney Her Excellency Reverend Dr. Diane Moore-Eubanks, PhD, Chancellor, Physician Dr. Eric Bizetsky, Clinical Health and Nutrition and GODSU Medical Expert, Physician Her Excellency Rhoda Makinde, PhD, Chief Medical Doctor, GODSU, Medical Missions, Dean Michael V. Roberts, JD, PhD, Dean of Entrepreneurship Studies, Dean George Fraser, PhD, Personal Development Studies, Dean Kyra Eubanks, Dean of Junior Ambassador, Professor Willis Eubanks, PhD, Dean of Cybersecurity Program, Professor Reverend Dr. Joseph Hickman, Associate Professor, Theology Program, Professor Imam Dr. Talib Sharif, Professor Interfaith Program and Chaplaincy, Professor Reverend Dr. William Blake, Theology Program Curriculum Development, Professor His Excellency